I went from a guy that didn't watch football, but remembered it with fondness, to a guy that actively disliked football, because when I came back to watch it, not only was it a totally different sport, it was a very ungentlemanly sport. It was it was a sport for pussies, basically. I'm really sorry to piss everybody off here, but all I saw was just a bunch of 20-year-old pussies running around the football pitch, falling down, crying like babies. And it was a fashion game. It was no longer a sport. It was a sport of fashion. I remember seeing the coaches dressed as if they were in a fashion show rather than a football game. And then these kids, when they weren't on the floor writhing in pain, the poor wee souls, they were arguing and having fistfights. So it wasn't my game anymore. I came from a place where football was competitive, but healthy competition, where everybody was a gentleman. When somebody failed, you helped them up and you apologize instead of calling him a name. And when you lost with grace rather than a little baby crying, basically. Oh, people are gonna hate me. I'm gonna get so much grief for all this.
Probably, but it's your opinion, so it is what it is. Also, I just searched up, and Italy won the World Cup in 1982.
Italy, of course, yeah. Italy would.
So I find it funny how you didn't actually turn away from football because you ended up disliking it, but because you found something that you liked better. And then once you came back, you were like, "Oh, this isn't what I remembered it to be."
It was quite a few years. I think maybe when I stopped watching football, it must have been in 1984, 85. And I really didn't try to watch it again until maybe the mid-90s or something,
Oh, wow.
And the players had totally changed. It was suddenly it suddenly changed from Butragueño to Zidane, right? And also there was no Spanish players anymore, right? That also was shocking. That didn't really put me off the game, but I thought it also turned into a business rather than just a game, and I just didn't like it. It's true. But for instance, the NBA already was a huge business and already was a huge show sport when I started watching it, right? Whereas, to be honest, Spanish football in the 80s, I'm assuming that's also the same way it was in the rest of Europe, but Spanish football in the 80s was quite simple, to be honest, right? If you look at the players, they're all short and stodgy. They're not really athletes. They're just a bunch of guys playing. The technical side, apart from Pelé, Maradona, and all these guys, Adidas wasn't really there. It wasn't a science, right? There wasn't really much science behind the playing, and that's what I grew up with. So I didn't even question it, right? If I'd, in your case, for instance, I'm assuming if you watch an old football game from the 80s now, you probably think like, oh man, these guys aren't even moving, right?
Yeah, you see clips and you're like, wow, these guys it looks like a game from the patio,
Exactly, yeah.
From the local play.
Right. So then if you fast forward a few years, suddenly you got this super, super athletes that don't make the most of their athleticism because they're always on the floor writhing and crying. And so it didn't resonate with me. Right. And then there was, of course, everything that went around it. There was no business in the early 80s, mid 80s. There was no business of football. It was just a game. Right.
Yeah.
And when all that changed, I thought, oh man, you've lost the essence of the game. I think I've regained it a little bit more now. I understand it a little bit more now, thanks to you. But I still get really angry when these kids just fall on the floor and pretend they're hurt. In fact, right now I'm getting a little angry. So let's stop talking about it.
It's so exaggerated, but